Hurt is a feeling that tells you you experienced a wound. Hurt is a very important feeling to have. Yes, sadness hurts, but hurt is a sense of wound of the self, a damage to the heart. Now, how important is it to be sensitive to feeling wounds? Very important. If you get a big, bad cut on the back of your leg and you can't feel it, you're in trouble. Bad cut. Do you know that there's a disorder that is actually that people who are incapable of having pain. Children, it's disastrous. Tony Dungy has a son who's incapable of having pain. And the stories about him reaching into the oven to grab a cookie off of the oven still on and taking the cookie and eating it, he couldn't feel the pain scorching his skin. I remember reading an article about a mother whose daughter didn't have pain. They didn't know when she was sick. And at the end of the article, the mother said, "I would give anything for my child to have pain," because not having pain was killing her. Infections, disorders, not recognize them. Do you know? Okay, so if you have a terrible, terrible wound on the back of your leg and you can't feel it, which is what most people are trained to do, deny your hurt. Vow yourself against it. Get harder than your pain. No pain, no gain. Grow through it. If it doesn't kill you, it makes you stronger. On and on and on. And think about, we're so sick with what we've been taught. Water under the bridge. What does that even mean? It means forget about it. Forget about it. It means don't let it bother you. It means don't worry about it. Guys, that's crazy. Because if you really were a thinking, feeling person, you'd go across the bridge one day and you'd go, where's the water go? But instead, you're trained not to wonder about feeling. You're trained not to be curious. You're trained not to delight in the presence of another. You're trained to not be willing to stand in somebody's way. Do you get it? You're trained to not let yourself be hurt. Those 4 characteristics of love I named earlier, you're trained not to love. Because we don't even ask a question about where the water goes. Well, let me tell you where the water goes. The water goes down the river, takes a dogleg right, and collects in a reservoir called all the memories you don't want to have to attend to that are full of grief and joy. If you live between 5 and 5, not feeling, your life's a river that collects in a reservoir that stops, and the valley beyond it never gets watered. It's amazing, isn't it? So I want you to know, we've been taught all these sayings and things about not feeling. It's amazing. And we just walk along and not question it. So I'm saying that denial of hurt, and you've got a bad cut on your leg and you don't know it's there, you stand a pretty good chance of bleeding out. Your denied hurt can kill you. Now let's say it doesn't kill you fast. Let's say you deny the cut, it just becomes infected, and then gangrenous, and then toxic, more toxic. Then you become septic. Then you become amputated. Then you die. Hurt, unaddressed, is poison to yourself. It's poison. What is the poison? The poison of hurt is its impaired expression. Resentment. Resentment is impaired hurt. Hurt means I have a wound. Now, I told you earlier that nobody else can have your pain but you. And you must not compare your pain to others. Okay? We're trained in doing that. I want you to see that your willingness to hurt and admit it. I have a wound is an admission that reveals a need, that reveals a request for help. And when you have a hurt, who is it that can help you? The only person that can help you is a person who knows what to do with hurt. You don't go to people who don't hurt when you're hurt. You go to people who do hurt. You go to people who have the courage to acknowledge that it hurt. I promise you on some level. So hurt is a feeling we admit to bring us to the healing. Healing allows you to take the risk of getting hurt again. Except you're wiser about how to live and do it. Because if we don't get to where we can do that, then we've got to react to the cuts. called defend ourselves from them. And we lose the capacity for reconciliation. Correct? And it's not the big cuts that matter, it's all the little cuts that get us. Till finally one more cut, that's it. And that resentment, now resentment is, I'm not going to hurt, you are. I'm not going to hurt, you are. How are you going to hurt? I'm not going to let you know me. Okay, that's what resentment is. And resentment turns into blame. You did it, you fix it. You caused it, you make it okay. Does that make sense? And people who are blaming, who will not take ownership of their hurt, become people who are revengeful. They're just somebody you watch out for because they're wearing their hearts on their sleeves. You don't ever know if you actually bump into them, like what it turns into. They're just prickly. They're just people you just sort of avoid. They're people you watch out what you say around them. They're people you can't be yourself around. You got to be careful. You can't be yourself. Revengeful people, because they can't tolerate hurt. And revengeful people become vengeful people. They spend their lives paying other people back for whatever was done that you didn't do. It's amazing the number of marriages I work with my whole life where the other spouse has to pay for something they didn't break, and they owe a debt that they didn't incur. The spouse is trying to make that other spouse pay for what happened in their past. So resentment, blame, revengeful, vengeful. And then, what do you feel around this person if you want to be with them? Hurt. Hurt people hurt people. People who won't take ownership of their hurt people. It's amazing. This isn't weakness. This is strength. This is an invitation into relationship with other people. Finally, because it hurts to be around this person, they wind up isolated and they blame you for that condition. Hurt people, sad people make people sad. Do you get it? It's amazing responsibility to take responsibility for your own lives. Instead of feelings being something that blame and a weakness, it's a form of taking responsibility. They're my feelings. Healing, by the way, healing allows you to have courage. Courage means to keep heart. You're staying in the game. Yeah, that hurt. I'm in the game. I went out and got healed. I'm back in the game. You don't go to a place where you don't get hurt. You become wise about how you get hurt and willingness to get hurt. Okay?